Alright, I'm Blood Moon, and I'm continuing on with the build of my Circle, since I lost him, or the original first and second one that I had done, because I like having two of each of the head bases that I have. But here we are. I lost two of them I accidentally left the tailgate of my truck open on the way home after a fur suit meetup, basically. And here we are. I'm remaking the fourth one, which is really the fifth, but I'm gonna call it the fourth. But at this point, I'm cutting out the eyes. And why are you gagging? Gag, gag, gag. Or gaga, ga? I don't know. Maybe it's not gag. I'm gonna go with gaga. Let's see. But, alright, we've got the eyes already just chopped one out just to make sure that the test fit, make sure it wasn't, wet glue still. But I finished kind of gluing these this morning while I was working on putting a few pieces together. So I've got a couple eyes and a mouthful of fur. All right. So here's the two eyes that I have, trying to make sure that I keep the reflection spots up in the right corner or correct corner. And when I put the eyes in, I don't want it to be bopping this guy in the head because I know those would be bopping me in the head. So I gotta kind of strategically place them. I think that's why I ended up having the eyes on 4.0 kind of canted outward a lot, was so that I didn't have this interfering with my face. So I'm gonna try to get it straight on without really having it direct contact uh with the mannequin's head. So with that, I'm gonna try to get it more or less a dead on connection without hitting the head. I think I have the hot glue. It's been going for a minute or two, so we'll see. Looks like it's connecting. Yep, it's still kind of hot. All right. So I just glob on the glue there just to kind of tack it into place. And I don't worry too much about how much glue I get onto the eye because I know from my experience at least that I have made that I tend to close or cover up a crap ton of this with a lot more epoxy sculpt, so it'll scope it or sculpt it around. Sounds good. Welcome back, Alan. I appreciate you joining back in. So, but get that work done. It's a weekend. All right, so we got the eye in there. He's tacked in at least. And now I'm gonna do the same thing on this side and try to not screw it up. So, all right. So, again, I wanna try to keep it symmetrical, and that way when I look at it dead on, it's not too weird looking. So, I'm gonna see what we can do here. It's always kind of difficult to do these eye things kind of by yourself, because you want to hold it, position it, get everything in, and it's always kind of a three-dimensional chess game that you tend to lose. So, all right. I've got the reflection spot up in the same corner, and I know y'all can't see, but at this point, I'm gonna go with me. I matter. Not saying you guys don't, I promise. But at this point, my vision matters more than yours. So, all right. And he always looks super goofy at this stage. He's just like derp. But overall, seems to be about right. Alright, we'll let the glue set up before I start messing with it too much more. But since right now it's just kind of tacked in, but it'll probably end up being the final glue on it as well, until I do some on the inside. But let's see. Pull his nose. I'm gonna do a quick test fit. Make sure it doesn't hit me in the face, so I don't know. Look kind of goofy, but yep, doesn't hit me in the face. Overall, the mask is fitting quite nice, so pretty happy with that. But you'll see probably around the sides and the back, because I point the eyeballs forward, I just kind of like the way that ends up feeling. You'll see there's big gaps, so that's something I tend to come back along and fill in, and it works well because I need to make eyelids and all that type stuff for Blood Moon as well. So I'm just doing a quick double check, make sure I don't see anything that looks too goofy other than this goofy looking thing staring back at me right now. Yeah, gaps all look about the same, so I'm gonna call that more or less where those eyes are gonna go until I find out later that I screwed up. So like I said earlier, I'm gonna go ahead and glue on the inside as well. That way it's kind of captured on both sides and it doesn't just kind of fall out. And I'll get it right behind the eye as well. It's probably pouring all over the tabletop. I don't want that to happen, but let's see. Nope, that's all right. Yeah, he always looks super funny. If you look at the original Blood Moon, yep, he really looked funny, and I'm like, wow, this guy's kind of a goober. But yep, I end up crafting or sculpting a crap ton of that epoxy sculpt on the head, so it really starts adding a lot of weight. But the way that I've got the head base, you can see that the ears bring the weight of the head back. So as I start bringing the epoxy sculpt forward, it actually balances out pretty nicely. So then I don't have as much strain and stress on my head. So I call that kind of a win. I don't know. We'll see. This will be another test of, hey, what works and what doesn't. I think this will work just fine though. All right. Once again, get that. I'm gonna go ahead and build up a little bit of kind of glue in here just so that there's something for the epoxy sculpt to kind of work on too. I like having kind of some dimension and some rigidity and something that ties everything straight onto the base here. So it's not gonna be perfect. It normally has a little bit of stringiness, but it kind of captures everything and it all works together. Whoops. Got a little bit on the eye and got some on the table. I'll leave that as is because it'll peel off what much easier if I just kind of leave it. Ugh. All right. So many strings. They'll clean up. They always do. All right. What should I do? I'm so bored. You might go live. Well, I can't watch you if I'm live. uh, where am I from? I was born in Texas, over in El Paso, Texas, and yeah, I live in Arizona right now. I think we'll be here for quite a few more years as we let the kids kind of finish up school, and then I could see us moving somewhere. I'm not sure if it'll be Colorado, Utah, maybe back to Georgia. I don't know. It all depends. But I'd really like to get to Utah. That's kind of where I'd like to go at some point. A little bit of goobers on the eye, but again, that's gonna be all encased in epoxy sculpt. So, all right, a little bit I got on the table just peeled right off because I didn't mess with it. Cool. This little goober face is coming together. Hmm. Trying to decide what else I should do here. I think I need to. I'll build up a little bit more glue in here. As much as I trust this epoxy sculpt, it is a very rigid and hard uh, product when it's done and sealed and everything like that. And hot glue is a lot more flexible. So I tend to kind of want to work more with the flexible stuff when I'm working with a flexible head base. Makes sense, I think. And putting hard plastic or hard epoxy on straight up clean, smooth plastic that flexes kind of scares me. I kind of want to ensure that I've got something that the hard plastic or epoxy can kind of adhere to. So that's kind of why I'm doing this piece. Again, you guys can't quite see what I did there. I was just building up hot glue around the eyes just to give something for the epoxy to kind of work its way into and hold itself together there. So until I put my finger in it, now it's all over my fingers. And I'll do one more layer, try to fix that again. Oh, that hurt. That sucks. You were pulling weeds earlier and pulled your nail back. Ugh, sorry to hear that. Hopefully it doesn't get too bad. My wife was walking one day just in the bedroom and her toenail just kind of like popped off. And that really sucks. It hurts. All right. Um, One thing I'd like to do now is I've got the wires for the LEDs that I'm connecting to the eyes, but I really don't know if this is going to work. I made the eyes a little bit smaller than I did previously, meaning I've got a lot less material on the back side of it. And because of that, I don't know if it's going to work. Let's see. Oops, that's bright. Okay, so I just have these little tiny LEDs. What I want to do is just get a little tiny bit right up on the eye here. Previously, I had kind of done something like this where it backlit the eye, but Whoa. This may actually help. I didn't know that these did this. So now I just have this little tiny, nope, you can't see it, but it's just the little tiny LED without any of the plastic around it. So if I can just, oh yeah, I could just dab that straight into the eye and glue it on. I think that'll work. So, hmm, I'm glad that thing accidentally fell off just because how well that's actually probably going to work. So let me see. All right. Well, I'm just going to glue it in place. Maybe. This is where I wish I had extra hands. That looks like that'll work for me. I don't think you guys can tell because what it looks like in my screen is just a, I don't know, lit up eyeball, but it's actually pretty green right now, so that's pretty cool. I just need that to dry so that it doesn't pull around. Dry, come on. I think I've still got you on low power. Okay, there's one. Let's see if I can do the same thing on the other side. And I do have the ability to swap the colors, so that's a blue. Purple, there we go. We'll try purple. And I just blinded myself with the LED. Can't see much of anything, so whoa. And that shot me directly in the eye once again. All right. So these are cheap little LED. I think they call them like L wires, EL wire. These were ones I got from Hobby Lobby that actually have like a big ol' fiber optic line that comes off of it. And then I have actually just removed all of that. And I was left with these little tiny LED stubs, which now I'm like, hey, this actually works better than the big old plastic things that I had going on previously. Whoa, no, 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 no. Ah! I think I covered some of the LEDs with my black glue. Yeah, I think I fixed that. Try this again without screwing it up. When all the colors started changing from purple to something else, I'm like, nope, that's not good. So, try this again. I want it to light up the eye. Give this a shot. Well, it's definitely not perfect. Ah, dang it. Keep doing it. Okay. I just need to unplug that so I don't blind my eyes, but I can't see what's happening if I don't have it on, so sorry if anything's happening in chat. I'm not looking at the moment. But all right. Got to clean a little bit up on the hot glue that got kind of tossed around there. Try scraping a little bit of this off. Okay, how many tries will it take me to get this LED on the eye and stuck? I don't know. But I'm gonna go with one more try. Okay, gotta run it inside. Oh, I'm gonna plug it in again. That sucks, but at the same time, it lets me see if I screw something up. Alright, hot glue. Don't move it around, just leave it in place. See how we do. Glue time. Alright, let me check chat over there. Holy cow, there's a lot of going on. Okay, you're pulling weeds. Yep, got that piece. There was a really strong plant. So that's why it broke. The green was really just one of the colors that was there, but I think for the most part I'll probably have it in the blue mode because Blood Moon, hey, he's got blue eyes. I'm gonna stay with that when it's got the LEDs, but that may change over time. Uh, if he's angry, I can change it up, but overall, the eyes are adaptable or changeable, so right now, that's kind of a white, and I know it's hard to see because the lighting, and this, I believe, just transitions through all the different colors. We got red and green and blue. So we got red there, green eyes, blue eyes, I don't know, kind of a yellow eyes, light blue eyes, and purple, white, and it rotates through. So, I don't know. I figure if I go to the dances or the graves or anything like that, I've got some color options. But now the eyes are more or less kind of in. I don't know if they're going to be great. I hope they turn out all right because I've got a lot of glue kind of further down the eye than I'd like, but I really kind of want to get these LEDs in here once again because that's something that I feel I'd really like to have at the dances and stuff. So, all right. All right, let's see. Hi, Therian here. Hi there. How you doing? Glad you're joining us. Hopefully you're still around. It's hard to watch the chat and not screw up my creation here too much, uh but I may see that in my nightmares. Yeah, it's pretty kind of screwed up right now when it's unfinished. But no, I'm glad you popped in. And then let's see. Nami Poo Poo, welcome back. I'm glad you're back again. Hopefully everything's well. I didn't end up getting my Chipotle last night because it started raining real hard on me before I got out the door, so I'm still wishing I had Chipotle. Sorry for bringing it up again, but here we are. All right, so we'll see. I don't think I can zoom in anymore, but now I've got these wires that I have to try to deal with. on top of all my lining that I put in earlier, but I'm just gonna run it along the edge and glue it into place. I don't think that should be a problem. But I do need to find glue. Where is my glue stick? I just had a big bag of black glue sticks. Where'd they go? Oh, they're all underneath Blood Moon fur parts that I've got piled over here. So, all right. So once again, I'm using the Surebonder fabric sticks from Hobby Lobby. They're black. They work really well on the base that I have for TPU. And in the meantime, I'm just gonna kind of tack it into place, and then I might cover it even more later, but probably just do a few tacks and leave it as is. Because not much happens in here. I just stick it on my head and it kind of stays that way. But, all right. Some sushi today. That sounds pretty good. I'm still kind of craving that Chipotle though, so I may try to do that. My wife is taking a couple of the kids over to a movie tonight, so we've got another son who won't be able to go out, so I'm gonna stay home with him. Let's see. So maybe I'll get Chipotle before she heads out. We'll see. Mm. So, like I said, really just kind of running this wire and getting it kind of tacked into place. And then now that's towards the back of the head, I'll be able to run the wires kind of along with the fan, and I'll kind of bundle them together and get them running right down into the battery pack. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Hey there again, a woo. Sorry, it's hard to keep an eye on chat. I'm trying to keep up with both, but when I'm gluing pretty much everything in sight, it kind of limits what I can do, because I don't want to get all over the table, even though I just did that again, so I gotta sit there and wait for it to dry. Oh man. But no, we're making headway. I think with all the fur pretty much cut out, I think I've got most of it sewed together as well because we did that early on. It's really just kind of sitting here and kind of working the stuff I normally have done in the first few minutes, kind of pushing that off to last because I didn't pre-make all the eyes correctly, and so I just moved on anyways. So here I am, gluing over top of all of my lining, kind of at the edges, but not a big deal. Lots of goop happens here. All right. I'm gonna let this kind of sit there for a second and dry and cool. Oh, yep, sorry. Good job. I miss watching Buggy go again, but I'm sure she'll be back. She's pretty consistent. I'm sure I'll be going for a while here. Gotta make use of all the days that I'm not working and basically preparing for FWA. Because I don't want to go there with Blood Moon 3.0. It just, there's a few things I just don't like on it. So, and I say I don't like, they're just fine. They're just minor things that I don't really like, but it's not the end of the world if I went with it. Okay, so there we go. We have a few things going all around the wires, kind of up and around the head, and bring them into a single point with the other part of the wiring structure, which I'll try to give us a little bit more of a view of that. So this is the fan wire. I've got it kind of in the ear right now. Figure if I run everything to where that is, then that makes it easy on me. And I'm just gonna run glue right over top the wire. This will be behind fur, and if I need to, I'll probably tack it down with some thread later, but none of this will be seen. So I'm just gonna hold it in place there. And it'll probably just kind of glob down. All right, so there's a little bit there. I'm gonna run some on this other side. More glue, because I go through like tons of these bags at a time. All right, I think we're getting close to the point where I can start mixing some epoxy sculpt and start sculpting the eyes, because that's one of the more, I don't know, I see a lot of progress once I actually start getting the eyes crafted in there versus this big bug-eyed deal that I have going on here. So glue, glue, glue. Gluing across the back of the head. And I'm glad all this is pretty much hidden, because it's kind of gloppy and gloopy. Gloop, gloop. All right. Sweet. Now, one, run a little tiny bit more glue down the edge from the other side. Seal that in. I don't want the wire getting caught and then having, not that it should be able to get caught. It's nowhere near anything, but there we go. So we got some wires. I'll try to get all of these bundled together into one single run, and then have them kind of sitting together in the back of my head base. And I'll have usually a battery pack in the back on the neck. But that's that, I think, for now. Keep it upside down. All right. Do I need more glue gun? Don't think I will, so I'm gonna unplug that. leave it on this little pad. I got like 12 of these self-healing pads or whatever from Hobby Lobby, not Hobby Lobby, from Goodwill one day. I think they're like $3 for the entire pack of them. So I love these things. They're a good little project pad that helps me keep everything kind of off the tabletop. So, so here's another new one. All right, so like I said, I use Epoxy Sculpt. It's this stuff. It's a lot like a normal resin that you would have like liquid, except this is a putty form. And hopefully that's not dried out. Nope, it seems fine. Because that lid was popped off a little bit, so I'm like, oh. Please tell me this isn't the wrong colors. Crap. They sent me gray Epoxy Sculpt and not the black. Gray will not do it for me, so I'm gonna seal that back up. Tell Amazon that they didn't do what I needed. Alright. So, let me see. I was kind of counting on being able to use that stuff. But I think I have a little tiny bit. It's been getting kind of hard. But I think I've got a little bit of the black still. Alrighty. So you can see the black is actually a black. The other stuff was a gray. And I don't know if I could work with the gray. I'd probably have to end up painting it, which I really don't want to paint it. So, all right. So, try to break these up into 2 equal parts. And so you've got a black. So you've got, I don't know if one's a hardener basically. I don't know what the other is, what you would call it, but just the medium that you would have. And it's this stuff is about a year and a half old, so it's pretty tough. But usually with a little bit of heat, which body heat tends to loosen it up a little bit, it gets a little bit softer. So that's what I'm gonna hope for here. And while I'm working that, I also have put his head on the stand here. It may help me sculpt. Push him off to the side for a minute as I clear up the workspace. Alright, so I bought this big old box of things from Amazon as well. Super cheap stuff, but hey, it gives me a few tools to kind of sculpt and get things looking alright on him. But you can see, starting to get the two things. They're a little bit softer. But the white and the black, you just start folding into itself and kind of working the two pieces together with a little body heat. It's starting to get there. But yeah, I'll send those back to Amazon, let them send me hopefully some more black because I've gone through a lot of this epoxy sculpt. but but no, this stuff usually dries fairly quick. I'd say in a couple hours it'll be more than ready. It'd probably take 30 minutes and this stuff will be completely cured up. It does dye the hands a little bit, so luckily I'm doing it over the weekend and I don't have to go into work with black hands and with people staring at me trying to figure out what I did to myself. But here we are. Whoops. All right. Roll it out. Trying to get the last little bit of the white folded out of the black here. It's looking pretty good now. And what I've always kind of done, whether it's good, bad, ugly, I don't know, but trying to get the same amount of material available for each side, I just kind of roll it out, more or less fold it in half, and I'll chop it in half. And that way I've got something in measurement per se that I'm able to kind of work a left and a right. Then I start rolling this even smaller because for the eyelids, I like to have a nice kind of rolled out base. Usually, I don't know, maybe 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch thick. And that usually gives me enough for the upper and lower eyeballs, and then any of the material that I have left over from the roll, like the far end over here. I'll use that for building out material where I don't have any. So, this is chop that little bit off. Slowly roll some more. I'm trying to keep the overall dimension about the same on all the single line here. That way the eyelids are about the same dimension. And then let's see. Let's see if we can try to get that centered up there. All right, so Blood Moon, where do we start your eyes? I think typically I kind of start them right in at the root here. And I try to just kind of give a little bit of a, I say a squinty, angrier look, but he's not angry or squinty like at all. But that's kind of what I kind of go for. Because I actually end up covering a lot of the eye. It just doesn't quite look like I do. So, all right, so there's a little bit. And wrapping back on around. See if I can cut that off there. All right. So, all right. It's not horrible, and I may actually have just enough to do the other side of his eye, and then I don't have to worry about trying to match material. All right. This is where it gets difficult because I'm like, let me see if I can do the exact same thing I did on one side and then do it on the other. And so I'll do something, I look at it from the side, and then, yeah, things just don't quite line up, but we'll see how we do. It's not horrible. At least not yet. I'll probably say it is in a week or so when I look at it. But, alright, so. I think both of those are about the right squintiness. I might squint it a little bit more, but I kind of push onto it, try to get it to adhere to the epoxy eyeballs, because I don't want them popping off and breaking along the way. And it creates a nice good seal. And then I'll come along here with all this extra material, which kind of got scraped into this self-healing cutting pad, but alright. Now, another thing that I always do, which is going to be, actually, let me do the eyes first. I've got so much more material that I need to work into the eyes than I do for the nose. If I have to do some more on the nose, I can make some more if I need. But, alright. So now I'm just flattening all this material. That way I've got a little bit of kind of a, I don't know, silly putty consistency and material. None of this should be seen. It's just really kind of that structure to tie everything together. But I'm going to use that to build out the eye just a little bit here. So that, I don't know, the epoxy eyeball isn't just hanging out there. I don't think anything would change. I would just fur right over top of it, but it gives me pleasure, I guess, making sure that it's all covered up. All right, so starting to work that material up and that around, and then I'll seal up any of the holes right behind that eyelid. All right. Actually fairly happy with how this is coming. It's, at least so far, his eyes seem a little bulgier. I think I set them outwards more than I normally do. Uh, I think I can take care of that with fur and a lot more epoxy sculpt. I do have a lot more left, so I'll just keep building it out a little bit, and everything should kind of fall into place. And if not, well, Blood Moon 5.0, where are you? I figure if I could do one a month, eventually I'll find the right consistency of what I'm looking for. I really don't want to make another, but I know I'm going to, because I'm going to do the Angry Circle and make him another Blood Moon. Just, I'll do a few things, I think, on him that I have been wanting to do or wanted to do to Blood Moon, but I really, really like the way the first one turned out. I just wanted to make some modifications to it, and then there were some of the original design that I would like to incorporate, and I think the Angry Circle would be the guy to do that on. So original Blood Moon had a bit of a mane on him, and I'd like for the back of his head just to be layered in a lot of different fur and black and red kind of all mixed together. And that way he's got a little bit more, I don't know, substance to him, and he just has a little angrier look to him. But that's kind of the goal with the new one that I'll probably do in the next few months. But until then, this is working out pretty good, I think. One thing I really didn't like with Blood Moon 3.0 was looking dead on at Blood Moon. His eyes pointed outwards, and I wanted to get that the eyes looking kind of forward again. I believe that's how it should be. But If not, well, that's the way he's going to be. I think that's what I did on the very first one, and I'm going to do the same here. So, all right. Yep, lots of epoxy sculpt there. Now I'm going to flatten out some more here and do the other side. You can see how much I actually cover up of the eye. Uh, it always surprises me how much I'm kind of building the eyes out and changing the whole kind of shape and dynamic of the eye, but I think it's for the better. And if not, well, it's for the better for me. All right. There's a little bit going on here. We'll wrap it around. If anything is based on what I've done in the past, I would say that I am using a whole lot more epoxy sculpt than I normally do. That's probably going to change my weight dynamics, but I really I don't care about the weight per se. My neck probably will in 2 weeks, but I think the weight's going to be just fine. Because, again, it's all kind of center of mass, so it's going to be just heavier, but it's not going to be in a weird position that's just weighting down a specific part. So, all right. Sculpting, sculpting. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to make another little ball, so I may use up the last little bit, but you can see he's got a little bit squintier, a little bit angrier eyes. I'm not saying they're angry, but they're just not quite the same of as without the eyelids or anything. And I'll just make the last batch of this of what I have left because I don't see that I can really do much more than that. So, all right. So, white and black ball are about the same size. The white might be a little small. I've got a little bit more of that. There we go. And then I'm really making the last little bit for packing out a little bit more around the eyes, especially on this side. And then I'm gonna expand the nostrils. I like having the nostrils be quite a bit larger and having a ridge on them. That way I can glue and fur right up to them and have a nice solid backer that doesn't allow the edge of the fur to be showing. So that's why I do that. Um, Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not as pretty and clean, but overall I think that works pretty well, and I haven't had the epoxy sculpt break off yet. But I really hope that stays that way. Just I think one of the big last little question marks on my mind is what am I gonna use for the screen? Uh, the last few bases I've used or made, I've used a metal screen for like a computer fan, and it actually works really well, but on Blood Moon, I feel like there's a lot of visibility into the head base through it because I do have a lot of just empty space in there, and Yep, I'm kind of thinking I may go back to like the fabric, kind of like a screen mesh for a window as my mesh, but I really do like the visibility of the metals, so that's why I'm having a tough decision on what to do there. But we'll find out. I've got like a whole 10, 20 minutes or a couple days. Depends on what I end up doing here. But all right. So, all right, with a little bit of extra material, I'm going to build the eye out just a tad bit more. Because I really don't want him to look like bug-eyed. That that'd be weird. And I know I've got all sorts of different tools. I normally use this guy, so I guess I can do that. Kind of use this one just to kind of press it in and get it nice and hard and packed into the tight crevices. And then gives a little bit of texture too. So when I glue with the hot glue gun, it gives something to adhere to. All right, well, he's got something going on. I don't know if it's good or bad, but he's got eyes, which at this point I'll take some eyes here. His eyes mean it's almost time for something going on. I'm just adding a little bit more kind of towards the root of the eye here, trying to build out kind of like a straight line of epoxy. Sorry you can't see much of that, but probably not a big deal. I'll probably end up doing it on the other side as well because I can see that it's kind of got not quite the right shape that I'm looking for. All right, so there's some there. Should probably put a little bit more towards the top of the eye because there's a big old gap up here. Sorry, this is my heavy taxing of the brain time, so I got pretty quiet there real quick. I don't want to screw this up. This stuff has a fairly short working time, but at the same time it's fairly long, but it does dry up and get pretty difficult to work with pretty quick, so I tried to move at a fairly good clip, but at the same time, don't screw it up, don't screw it up. So, all right, there's a little bit of a eye shape there. It's more a consistent shape at least. And then I'm gonna pack out a little bit more on this side. here. All right, and I'm gonna do the same on this side here. I'm gonna build out just a little bit of material around the base of the eye here, or the root of the eye. I don't know, just to kind of have a clean, consistent shape. It'll all be behind a mesh, but I'm still trying to get that shape, kind of a nice curve to it. All right, so that's looking better there. Try and save just a little bit for the nostrils, but if I don't do that, that's not the end of the world. And one more little tiny bit here. So thank you, Wendy. No, I'm just kind of working on trying to get my head base for my circle kind of sculpted and crafted up here before I start furring it, and the eyes are always the difficult part. I think that's the main reason I didn't like my last head base, was the eyes were just not quite what I was looking for. So now I'm just kind of building everything out as I crafted some eyelids on the head base here. So, all right. So got a couple eyes there, and I'm stuck on the tripod. There we go. Whoop, too much. So there we go. We've got some eyes. The eyes aren't perfect, but most of this material around the edge, like I said, is going to be covered up by the fur, and I don't mind having a little lumpiness because that works well for gluing. I will kind of smooth it down a little bit more here in a minute, but I really want to get this last little bit of epoxy sculpt I have here and work it around the nostrils. So now I'm just rolling it out. So much brain power just to do this. And I shouldn't be putting this much thought into what I'm doing, but here we are. The sadness of me trying to figure out what the right dimensions are. All right. So on the nostrils, we'll try to zoom in some more. They're these little guys here. I like to build them out quite a bit more. Miles, I think you chose poorly. He set a movie for his brother, but his brother doesn't like it. So, all right. So that's a real basic shape. I just wanted to get enough material kind of on there, and then I'm gonna just start pushing it down, kind of getting it adhering to the base here. And then usually I'll kind of sculpt it kind of into the nostril so it's not just looking like it's, you know, tacked right on top of it there, so that way it all kind of blends together. That's one of the joys of working with the black on black. I can just kind of get the material and they all just kind of work seamlessly together. So, or try to at least. So, nostrils always kind of a tough one for me. It's kind of a weird shape, weird angle. Gotta pick in here. So yes, I'm picking his nose. All right. Shape that a little bit with the foot here. Just realized I'm touching the white of the teeth, so I'll probably still have to do a quick paint touch up on the teeth, which I was talking about doing earlier, but yeah, now that I put black all over the teeth, definitely should do that. All right. And we'll try one more nostril. See how this goes. And symmetry is kind of a tough thing to accomplish in a short working span, especially when you reach around and you are pushing things together and I'm squishing the other side. So then I have to come back and reshape it. Come on. But all right. Just keep working on this side for now. Press it into the plastic, let it try to grab onto that. And I'm hoping that all the glue that I end up working kind of around the nose and everything just kind of help solidify and work that nose epoxy sculpt in. Like I said, it's never broken off, but I'm sure if I gave it a good drop, it'd probably snap loose. So if it does, I could probably sculpt one and then just glue it into place. It's probably the easiest method I could do. Let's see. All right, so there's a little bit of a nose, nostril. It's usually where the nostrils are, so I don't know why I said nose. Cool. think this is the quietest stream I've done. Too much thinking going on. All right. Well, I think I have two nostrils, two eyes, mostly symmetrical looking. Let's see. Do you guys see anything that's not quite symmetrical? I think it's close at least. So I'll take that. Um, I'll just add a little bit of the material around the eyes just to use up the last little bit that I had here. That way the eyes don't bulge like a lizard or iguana or I don't know. Alright. And I probably want to make the lower part of the eye a little bit smoother just to make sure that if I come through and use the razor, I don't have any ridges that catch me and then I nick it real good. So I'll rub that smooth a little bit more. I might get some water and just kind of flush it down. And then same thing on the other side. Whoops. All right. Well, we've got some shape happening now. I'm gonna see if I can find a little bit of water just to dampen it up and smooth out what I've got going on here. Put that back on the floor. All right. Bring the camera back in. I hope I'm not screwing up my good lens, but all right. All right, I'm just putting a little bit of water kind of around the eyes here just to help smooth it. Let's see if that helps at all. Not with that tool. Yeah, that seems to be helping a little bit here. Sorry, I'm so quiet on this stream. Don't know if anyone's even here, but if they are, normally I talk a little bit more than this, but too many brain bites going into sculpting essentially clay. That dries pretty darn quick. So, all right. Smoothing out okay. I'll do a quick little bit on this side as well, and I'll just kind of let it sit and dry out, hopefully. And then probably once again in another couple hours, I'll come through and I'll start working on trying to glue this guy together if I don't realize that I've got something else I need to do. But I think we're about the point where I can start gluing. All right. I'll take that. It's not perfect, but it's not horrible. I say that now. We'll see again what it turns out to be when I actually fur the thing, but I think that's kind of getting me what I need. There we go. Just double checking the nostrils before I stop touching everything altogether. All right. Well, there we go. We got the eyes more or less crafted in. I'll need to put the screen in, and then yeah, after it's screened, do I need to do anything else? That's really just essentially hot gluing the jaw and the hinges into place. Then he starts taking shape, looks a little less derpy with a mouth on him. Yeah, I think I just have to sit and wait once again, make sure all the last little bits kind of dry here, and then I'll come back probably in another 2 or 3 hours and go at it again. So I know it's not always the most exciting thing. Not not everybody hangs out, which I am more than happy with, because it's a Saturday. You guys should be doing something more fun or something. But Blood Moon, he's coming along. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you guys next time, like in 2 hours. See ya. Bye.